Imelda Rea, and today I'm going to be reading a story about a crocodile. Cleo the Crocodile. It was written by Dr. Karen Triesman and it was illustrated by Sarah Peacock. So I also crafted up a little alligator crocodile here, and this is my Cleo, who's going to keep us company whilst I read this book to you. The story of Cleo the Crocodile. Among the beauty of the Okavango Delta in Botswana, there lived a bouncy, bright and beautifully beaming crocodile called Cleo. Cleo the Croc loved having fun with all of the other animals, especially Ao the aardvark and Lonnie the leopard. Together they chased water lilies, they jumped over slimy rocks and slithered over the grassy riverbanks and played hide and seek all around the bushy and beautiful water hole. Sadly though, for Cleo, not all of the things in his life were as happy. Hogan the Hippo, a very sad and stressed and angry hippo, who was supposed to look after and care for Cleo, was being very unkind and hurtful towards him. He would call Cleo horrible names. He would roar scarily at him, push him under the water, stomp on his tail and even take his food away. Hogan the Hippo was not always mean to Cleo. It changed depending on the mood he was in or depending on what had happened on that day. But when the thunderous terror of Hogan struck, it was scary. Hogan the Hippo stomping, pushing, punching and name-calling made Cleo the Clock feel more feelings. Many feelings. Sometimes he felt sad, confused, alone, scared, angry, small or trapped. Sometimes Cleo blamed himself. He wondered if he had done something bad to Hogan or if he could do something to be a better croc. But he could not think of anything. The other animals didn't see what Hogan was doing to Cleo because he only hurt him in secret. The more Hogan hurt Cleo, the more Cleo wanted to be left alone. He started playing less and less with Ao the aardvark and Lonnie the leopard, and even started snapping at them. Cleo felt scared and alone. He was finding it hard to relax. He was finding it hard to sleep. He was having lots of tummy aches and headaches for all of the worry. He knew that he needed to ask for help, but felt too afraid to tell the others. What words could I use to tell them? What will happen if I do tell? One day, Cleo decided to tell Ao and Lonnie about Hogan. They were very pleased that he had told them. They were worried for Cleo. But they were too small to help, so they decided to ask some of the bigger animals who they trusted. So together, Chloe, Leo, Ao told some of the bigger animals what had been happening. Ratchi the rhino visited Hogan the Hippo lots of times to try and help him to change his scary behaviour, but nothing seemed to work. How can Cleo be protected? After lots of thinking and talking with Cleo, they came up with a plan. There was another swamp. It was across the riverbank, past the big acacia tree, where Cleo could live. There they hoped he would be safer and happier. Lily the leopard said, "We'll miss you, Cleo. You can write to us, and we will come and visit you in your new swamp when we can." Edgar the elephant added, "We'll always be in your heart and inside your head, cheering you on. Whenever you feel sad or scared, look up at the moon. The sun, we will be looking there too." Lily exclaimed, "I have a good feeling about this new place, this new swamp. Just remember, it isn't your fault, and what Hogan the Hippo did was not okay." The animals pointed Cleo in the right direction to the new swamp and helped him wrap his precious belongings up in a beautiful leaf bag. Katie Kudu One of the friendliest animals of the group walked there with Cleo. With mixed feelings, Cleo the Croc said goodbye and made his way to the new swamp. He had so many questions and worries, but also some hopes. He did not know what to expect. When Cleo arrived, he noticed some things in the new swamp were the same. The temperature of the water, the smudginess of the mud, the tweeting sounds of the birds, and the feelings of the sunshine on his skin. But Cleo had also noticed many things were different. There were new kinds of food, new animals that he wasn't friends with yet. Sometimes Cleo felt lonely and even missed Hogan, or at least his kind parts. Hogan was what Cleo knew and what he was used to. Before leaving the swamp, Katie and Kudu had introduced Cleo to Hilly the Hippo and Camden the Croc, and told them that they were kind and caring. Katie said that they would look after Cleo, but Cleo the Croc didn't believe Katie. He thought Hogan was also meant to look after and care for me, and look what happened there. Everything was new and Cleo didn't know who to trust or who to believe, especially Hilly the Hippo, because he looked and sounded a bit like Hogan. So Cleo decided that this time they needed to be different. He needed to protect himself from scary animals like Hogan and not let himself get too close. He did not want to get hurt again or have to move again. So he kept himself safe, keeping a distance, and turning his colourful tummy to red and changing his smile to a snap. Cleo thought to himself, this thick, spiky leather skin must be there for a reason. So this time when he saw another animal, he wouldn't smile, he wouldn't chatter away like he used to. Instead, he would swing his tail and growl and snap his sharp teeth at them. He would also give a keep out warning kind of message by turning his whole tummy red. Even in the blackness of the night, he would stand guard. He'd be scanning the swamp with his shiny red eyes and darting his eyes from one side to the other, back and forth and up and down and round and round. The snapping, growling and swinging meant that Cleo was often ignored or left alone by the other animals. He didn't want to be like this. It made his heart, his body and his head hurt. He missed all of the fun he used to have. He missed his smile and he missed his laugh. He felt so tired from always having to be on guard, but couldn't think of any other way to keep himself safe. You see, Cleo had decided that because of what had happened with Hogan, it was better to be scary than to be scared. He decided it was better to have a snap than a smile. Having his prickles up and snapping actually worked. It kept other animals away from him, and it kept the scary things out. But sadly, it also stopped all of the good and beautiful things from coming in. He wished that he could find a place in between. But then things started to change, slowly started to change. Each day, Hilly the Hippo and Camden the Croc would slowly swim a little bit closer to him. Cleo stood his ground, growled at them and snapped his teeth at them and sharply swung his tail. However, to Cleo's surprise, Hilly and Camden didn't seem scared, didn't seem angry. They didn't seem angry with him. Instead, they just stood close, stayed calm, and smiled warmly. Cleo didn't know how or why, but it seemed that Hilly and Camden were trying to see behind his thick skin, his growls and his snaps, to who he really was. They could see that his prickles were up for a reason, and that Cleo was so much more than the spikes and snaps and growls underneath. Hidden underneath, there was still that smiling, bright and lovable Cleo, waiting to feel safe enough to come out again. One day, Hilly said to Cleo, "It's okay to be afraid. I was once new to these waters, and it took me a long time to feel safe and at home." Camden nodded and smiled. "Me too. I used to feel very alone. But then I made some really good friends, and I learned that a team of animals around you, supporting you, can make you feel much stronger and happier. We all need a bit of help sometimes. Imagine playing a game of jungle football or swamp tug of war on your own." Cleo turned his head away from them and thought, "Silly animals, they've no idea." Then he went about his day, snapping and swinging. But that didn't stop Hilly and Camden. They still kept on visiting him and watching out for him. Sometimes they would just smile, and other times they would carefully swim a tiny bit closer to him and just stay near to Cleo. Cleo, well, he was surprised that Hilly and Camden kept on coming. He didn't understand why they cared so much, or what they liked about him. Hogan had never tried to watch out for Cleo like this, and he would have been very angry if Cleo had snapped and swung at him. So secretly he was quite impressed that Hilly and Camden kept on trying. Sometimes he even found himself wanting for them to arrive. He noticed that he was starting to have to work hard not to smile back at them. Cleo would then catch a glimpse of Hilly and Camden laughing and playing as they swam away from him, and it made him think back to some of the fun games that he enjoyed with Ayo and Lonnie. One day, on one of Hilly and Camden's visits, Cleo found himself swimming a little bit closer towards them and flashing a quick smile at them. Hilly said, "I definitely love your smile better than your stare, swing and snap," and they all giggled. This time Camden said to Cleo, "We're going to check out the cool baobab tree which has loads of yummy insects to munch on. Do you want to come and join us?" Hilly added, "It would be great if you could come, but we understand if you don't feel ready. We will still come back tomorrow and the next day and the day after." Cleo thought for a minute and then hissed, "No, I don't think I want to come." Camden and Hilly said together, "That's okay. We understand." Cleo felt that it was time to share with them why he snapped and why he swung his tail so often. He told them about all of the horrible things Hogan had done to him and explained how he had learned to defend himself using his prickles, snaps and his red tummy so that he wouldn't be hurt or sad again. Camden and Hilly listened with love and care. They were so pleased that Cleo had told them. They told him that it was okay, it was not okay what had happened, and that it was not Cleo's fault. Cleo felt a little more understood. He smiled to himself and he was surprised to find some of the colours returning to his tummy. Another day came, and Camden and Hilly swam towards Cleo and asked, "Will you come to the baobab tree today?" Cleo smiled, but he shook his head. "No thanks, not today." But Hilly and Camden kept on trying until eventually something felt a little bit different in Cleo. Although Cleo could remember Hogan and all of the horrible things he had done to Cleo, the memories, the thoughts, the feelings were more like more distant floating clouds. Cleo realised that he was starting to trust Hilly and Camden, and they were different from Hogan. Why not? Why not? "Let's go to the baobab tree together," Cleo croaked. Cautiously, and off he slowly swam, not in front or behind them, but alongside his new friends. That's a lovely picture there. And so the adventures and the fun began. Hilly and Camden showed Cleo a whole new side of the swamp, a maze of mystical branches, the best trees to shelter from the hot sun, the yummiest birds to chew on, the biggest water lilies to hide under, and the coolest puddles to splish, splash and splosh in. Cleo looked at his colourful reflection. His tummy had found its colour again, and his snap had turned into a smile. He felt happier and more relaxed and safer. He knew that if he was ever in danger again, he still had his prickles and his snap and his red tummy if he needed them, but they didn't need to be up all of the time, especially when he was with Camden and Hilly. This time, if something bad happened, he would have a whole team inside and around him, snapping together like a powerful band of drums. All his animal friends from the old swamp were in his heart, and his new friends, Hilly and Camden, were by his side. He now felt ready and even a little bit excited about creating some new adventures and making new memories.
Sun does arise and makes happy the skies. The merry bells ring as they welcome the spring, and the skylark and thrush and the birds of the bush, while they sing loud around to the bells' cheerful sound. And our sports shall be seen on the echoing green.